I had originally wanted to talk about the return of the Transformers commanders to World of Warships Legends today. I took out the Tier 8 German premium destroyer, or perhaps premium cruiser, Elbing, in order to illustrate the value of one of the Transformers commanders, really one of the only ones I would recommend getting. Unfortunately, the only way to obtain these commanders are either through crates, which, to be fair, do have a 15% drop chance, as far as I can tell, to give you the Transformers commanders, but that doesn't mean you're going to get the one you want if you sort of take a gamble on the crates. And if you want to guarantee acquiring the Transformers commander you do want, there's a bundle for all 8 of them that costs 36,000 doubloons. I don't think there's any universe in which that's worth it. And there are 2 separate bundles, one for Autobots, one for Decepticons. Each of those costs 18,000 doubloons. Again, I don't think it's worth it. But the Decepticon Rumble is a very useful commander to have if you don't already have him, especially if you enjoy the kind of gunboat destroyer gameplay that I do, particularly on destroyers that could double as mini cruisers. Elbing is one such example. But we've also got Felix Schultz, Khaba, of course, Delny, Tashkent. Those types of destroyers all benefit, in my opinion, from having Rumble. His base trait, when it's fully maxed at rank 16 Legendary 4, gives you a 6% increase to your main battery gun range on destroyers. And for the Elbing in particular, which has a pitiful main battery gun range at base of something like 10.9 kilometers, that is very useful indeed. Without Rumble, if you use the range mod in the 4th slot, along with the skill on Eric Bai in the 3rd row that decreases the main battery reload and increases the range by 8%, as well as the Epic Booster flag in the 4th flag slot, then you can achieve a range of 12.7 kilometers on Elbing. With Rumble, though, at maximum rank, at 1 inspiration, you get 13.4. That's a lot more comfortable. And of course, if you put him on Schultz, you'll get past 14. If you put him on Khaba, you get past 15. And that allows you to use the excellent ballistics on this ship in particular to shoot at long range. We are, of course, using Rumble as our inspiration on our Eric Bai for this match here. But this isn't so much about the main battery gun range on Elbing. It is, like I alluded to earlier, one of those destroyers that you could mistake for a mini cruiser. In fact, I think it's about the size of the Tier 5 Nuremberg, and the hull and turret setup are pretty similar to that cruiser. For all intents and purposes, the Elbing sort of is that. It's not, I would say, the best destroyer in the world. The concealment's not bad with this build. It's 5.3 kilometers, but the hull is a gigantic brick that really lends itself to eating torpedoes. And, well, if you find yourself in a close-range knife fight with other destroyers in the Elbing, they will probably win, mostly due to the lack of your maneuverability and the threat of torpedoes coming into the mix. So you do want to play it at longer range. But the AP on the main battery, of course, absolutely shreds broadsides when it comes to battleships, cruisers. The AP can even do a number to enemy destroyers. And with all of this in mind, a lot of people think the Elbing is not very good at performing the primary functions of the destroyer, let's say. Those would be spotting, getting objectives, and countering the enemy destroyers. Well, we're sort of going to do all of that in this match. Things are not starting off good here, though, or things are not starting off well, if we want to use proper grammar. Around the Alpha Cap, we've got Velos headed into the cap, about to take it, and we've got Yamato out there. And the 2 ships that spawned with us, or maybe there was only one, I think it was a cruiser, well, he's been taken down by the Yamato, so suddenly we're without friends. And we think at this point, if we push into the Alpha Cap from this direction, we're going to get spotted by Velos, and that would be one thing. We could probably take him on 1v1, but we also don't want to be shot by his Yamato teammate, so we were going to retreat, but it seems like Velos wanted to pursue us. perhaps not the best idea. One thing the Elbing's going for it is 25 millimeter armor on the sides, which will shatter the Velos's HE, and that's why we're not taking a whole ton of damage as he shoots us. He really doesn't stand much of a chance versus the Elbing in a gunfight, I'm sorry to say. He is kiting away and retreating, slightly angled to us, which is going to bounce our AP. If he's not slightly angled, the AP can get full pens and absolutely nuke him, but we can switch to the HE for situations like this, and that'll be more than enough to take down Velos, provided we can actually land the shells. He is a little bit dodgy, and the guns here are quite accurate. So accurate that if you don't aim precisely right, the shells will go exactly to where you're aiming, which is the water. I think we've dialed it in here, though, and Velos goes down for our first kill of the game to go along with the fist we got earlier. We also hit Yamato with some torpedoes, and we've got Gearing spotted here, also heading into the Alpha Cap. I expect he has really no reason to head into that cap and will end up turning the other way. So we're going to go in this direction in order to intercept him. But maybe that's not necessary. He's still spotted. He's being shot at by a cruiser, I think. And he goes down to the Conqueror. Not a cruiser, but whatever. In any case, that leaves the Bravo cap clear. The last remaining enemy destroyer was spotted on the opposite flank near Charlie by the map border. So I don't think he's anywhere close. And then besides that guy, all the enemy team has left are battleships, none of which are anywhere near the objectives, except for maybe Yamato, which was last spotted near Alpha and is probably headed in this direction. So, if we couldn't get into Alpha, maybe we can get into Bravo. We're going to need to. The enemy team is ahead of us on points, despite us being ahead of them on kills. It's 441 to 462 and counting. It'll continue to get bigger if we do not get into this Bravo cap and stop the enemy from accruing points and ideally flip it. We've got Conqueror and I think Montana out there behind that island, doing the mirror image of what some friendly battleships behind me are doing. There's one of them also hiding behind an island, two of them in fact, and they're going to have a bit of a standoff, them and this Conqueror and Montana sitting here in the middle of the map hiding behind islands, which is just fine with me. I can get into the Bravo cap, and once it starts getting flipped, maybe that will dissuade these two battleships from pushing out. They are beginning to peek out from behind the island, and we've got torpedoes headed toward them. They're going to fire their main battery guns, and I was considering smoking up here to farm them with my main battery. But we'll keep vision of them for our teammates should they decide to push out and provide assistance. Yamato is doing what we thought and getting into the Alpha cap. As long as we don't get spotted here, which we won't, the enemy destroyer still appears to be nowhere in the vicinity, then we should be able to take this cap, and once that's secured, we can perhaps retreat and do some farming on these enemy battleships. However, note that the Charlie cap is beginning to turn red. That means the final enemy destroyer has reached it, and he's going to undo all of our hard work of taking this cap if he secures Charlie. So we're going to send some torpedoes into the Thunderdome here. Maybe they'll catch Yamato if he wants to turn and come out of that channel. But after that's done, we're going to have to head to Charlie and deal with that final enemy destroyer. We've just overtaken the enemy on points thanks to the blue team sinking somebody. But if that destroyer secures Charlie and the Reds have both Alpha and Charlie, then they'll have the opportunity to overtake us on points, even if they don't sink any blue ship immediately. Geez, that Montana is pretty desperate to hit my unspotted destroyer. He keeps blind firing into the cap. I've never seen a battleship so desperate to shoot a destroyer they didn't know the position of. In any case, Bravo is secure. Doesn't look like it's under any immediate threat from the Montana, the Conqueror, or the Yamato. If Yamato decides to be a threat, well, then he's got torpedoes coming at him. The friendly battleships, of course, have been pinging the minimap in ways I don't understand throughout the duration of this game. To be honest, I was a little bit irritated about it. I like to think I know what I'm doing when I'm playing a destroyer. I suppose you can judge for yourself in the comments section once you see the results of this game. But now we're approaching the Charlie Cap. The last remaining destroyer is a Halland. Not a huge gun threat, perhaps, but certainly a torpedo threat. His torpedoes are very fast and have a lot of range, more range than ours. I think we have 13.5-kilometer torpedoes. I want to say Halland has 15-kilometer torpedoes, and they go at like 90 knots. So if he does launch them at us, there's a good chance he can hit. The Elbing has a big turning circle. It's a very long destroyer, and the rudder shift is not especially fantastic. There's Halland. He was spotted briefly. He saw us in return, still inside of the cap. I'm anticipating that he will be dropping torpedoes through that gap in the island trying to hit us, and so maybe I shouldn't be turning in toward that island to make it easier for him, but, there are the torpedoes. We do spot them in time, and we're going to be able to slow down so that they don't make contact. Meanwhile, Halland has decided he's going to retreat from the cap, and that's just as well for me. We're going to be able to flip the cap and make sure that we can reacquire the points lead. As you can see, the enemy team was able to overtake us. They're at 621 to 619 right now. Not good, but once we flip this cap, we'll be able to overtake them once more. And that is going to secure the victory conditions for us, provided that the rest of our teammates don't sink. And luckily for us, all of these battleships are playing, to call it generously, very, very safe. There doesn't seem to be any danger of any of them sinking in the near future. So that's good, and the cap is flipped now. We've got both the Charlie and Bravo caps, so we will be able to overtake the enemy on points starting now, and there's nothing they can do to change that unless they start sinking us, or they take another cap. The Halland has retreated. We're not going to pursue him. If we do, that's going to involve pushing into the enemy's spawn. And if we push into the enemy's spawn, well, all of the remaining enemy ships, except for this Yamato, are sort of in their spawn. And I don't want to give them the opportunity to shoot at me if I'm spotted. So we'll come back here, and we'll deploy our second-to-last smoke screen, then use the main battery guns to do a little bit of farming against these battleships as they push in. The Montana, which was earlier blind firing us, is now trying to undo the hard work we did in taking the Bravo cap. Completely unacceptable. We're going to launch some torpedoes here, as well as some torpedoes in the mouth of that channel of the Thunderdome in case Yamato wants to peek out again. Looked like Montana was maybe going to continue his forward progress into the cap, but no, he comes to a halt there behind that island, which, to be honest, is a good thing for him. He must have anticipated that torpedoes would be imminent. And of course, it's not that difficult to figure out where my last known position was simply by observing that the Charlie cap got capped by me. And so, the Montana hides behind the island to make sure that he's not going to eat any of these danger pylons, and inexplicably, I have no idea why, but the last remaining friendly destroyer decides to open fire with his main battery guns, where he is promptly spotted by either the Montana or the Halland and taken out. And just like that, the kills are almost even again. It's a 5v4. We're still ahead of the enemy team, but they've overtaken us on points. And unless we either sink something or maintain control of that Bravo cap, things are not looking too great. Luckily, Yamato goes down thanks to one of our battleship teammates before our torpedoes even hit. So Montana will be the focus of probably 3 friendly battleships here, as well as me. Maybe that'll be enough to finish out this game, but there is less than 1 minute left to go. And so, as long as none of the blue ships sink, we should win. Montana is on much lower health than any of them, so it does look like he is going to go down, and so long as that happens, that is the victory secured. But keep in mind, the victory would not have been secured had we not paid as much attention to the map as we did. We knew that we had to take both of these caps about midway through the game, and we succeeded in doing so. Without that, I don't know that we would have won this game. So, this is all to show that you don't necessarily need one of the quote unquote meta destroyers. If you look at the forums online for this game, people talk all about the destroyers with radar, the new pan European ones, the destroyers with sonar, and they act as if you need to play one of those in order to have success in a match. You don't. All you need is good game sense, good map awareness, and to know the strengths and weaknesses of your ship and play accordingly. The Elbing is one of my favorite ships in the game. And again, as we said in the beginning, Rumble is a great benefit to the Elbing and other destroyers like it. However, I don't recommend you necessarily buy the content packs unless you do want all of the destroyer commanders. I also don't recommend you buy the crates. Hopefully, in the future, when Wargaming brings this content back, they will put the commanders on sale individually for a flat doubloon price so that you can guarantee you get exactly what you want. I would like to see that in the future if anybody from Wargaming is listening to this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If so, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.